Anyways, Perfect Turd Podcast, episode number 12.
Number 12, yeah.
And we're here in my car doing this podcast, and it's a special edition podcast.
Yes, because we are going to be comparing the original Death Wish, 1974, to the most recent Death Wish that was shot in 2018.
Right.
Just a rundown of what Death Wish is basically about. And you actually mentioned this before. It was one of the first Vigilante movies.
Yeah.
So, you know, in both movies, you have like a very polished main character with a very ritzy job. He has a wife and a daughter. And the wife and the daughter, while he was away, gets attacked. And then he finds it upon himself to get a gun and then go to the streets and exact his own justice. Just for the first one, 1974, that one starred Charles Bronson. For the 2018 version, it starred Bruce Willis, of course. He is known for being John McClane in Die Hard. Yep, different takes on pretty much the same story. So, which one do we want to start with? 1974, I presume?
I guess we start with the original.
Okay,
We'll just run it down.
Yeah.
Well, it starts off, and he's on vacation with his wife.
Yes.
This is super important.
Very.
Because there's a big difference between these two movies. And I think an important difference. Mm-hmm. It starts off, him and his wife are on vacation in like Hawaii.
Yeah.
And it shows how much they love each other, all this. They come back home. Now she's out grocery shopping.
Grocery shopping with her daughter.
With
their
her daughter.
Yeah.
Yep. And some creeps who we got to talk about. Jeff Goldblum is one of the creeps.
Yes, Jeff Goldblum.
He had that creepy, what was his face he was making? He was just all creeped out. He was...
We have to talk about the goons or the thugs in these movies, because in 1974, there's like this very consistent like overacting.
Yeah, the thugs were real. And even when they decided to follow her home from the grocery store.
Yeah.
And they weren't just following her home. They were like creeping around. And
dancing around almost. Yeah. Like they were like, and it's almost like, I'm not a criminologist, but I don't remember seeing thugs like, woo, hey, what's going on? It's just like, okay.
Yeah. So, yes, they get back to their house. Mm-hmm. And then the punks knock on the door and they're like, your groceries are here.
Yeah.
And then they proceed to bust in. And a pretty brutal scene.
Very intense.
Especially for back then.
And I think, this was like something like really kind of new for like that era, because unfortunately the daughter gets raped, and then the mother gets just killed. Like she gets kicked in the face, and I think they crush her skull or whatever. And and
it was so weird. Like it was just a weird scene because he spray painted her ass. Remember? What was the point of that? Like, I don't get that. He's like, let me just spray paint her ass.
They spray paint her ass. They also spray paint a swastika on the wall.
Yeah.
It's almost like, just going to like the dialogue, like it's so on the nose. Like I would have been like I wouldn't have been surprised if he was like, yeah, I hate you guys. You guys are rich. I'm poor. I'm going to attack. It's like, okay, we get it. You guys are thugs. Like,
yeah, and of course, Jeff Goldblum does the rape.
Yeah.
So we get a glimpse at his ass.
Yes.
Thanks.
And then we go to, I think the boyfriend finds out first. He calls Charles Bronson, he has a certain presence on film.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem like he's trying too hard in these movies. What do you think?
Well, he always has that kind of thing, like, where nothing seems to bother him, really.
Ever.
Something happened, Dad. I think your wife is in bad shape, and your daughter's in bad shape. He's just like, oh, all right, what are you doing? Oh, I'm heading there. Okay, I'll be there soon.
Yeah, he's not even, like, taken back or anything like that. He's just so stoic. He's just like, all right. Going to the hospital. This is okay.
I don't see why they'll never put him and Chuck Norris in a movie together.
Oh,
Can you imagine the drama in that movie?
Oh, man. Jeez. But they go to the hospital. Then more heavy-handed symbolism. Mm-hmm. Because, like, they're waiting there in the hospital. And then, like, Charles Bronson's like, look, that man is hurt. No one's helping him. So in this movie, there's a heavy theme of the system isn't working. Mm-hmm. if there was like one word I would use for this film's message, or the way they put it, is heavy-handed. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like we get it. So of course, like they find out like the wife doesn't make it, and then the daughter is just traumatized.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, she goes off the deep end.
Yeah. And then after that, like, it's basically him, you know, burying his wife, trying to console his daughter as much as he could with her state. But then, like, I think it's one of those things where he keeps on going back to the police station.
Mm-hmm. He's getting no satisfaction from the police.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he kind of... Now, at this point, was it where he does the sock?
I think we're coming up on the sock, and that was very interesting.
Well, he starts to see more crime. Like, he's looking out his window and he's seeing people getting mugged and stuff, and he's getting no satisfaction from the police. So you start to see he's starting to change.
Yes.
His outlook on life. And this is taking a long time in this movie. This is a slow burn. He's slowly starting to get angrier. Then he gets a sock and he goes to the bank. I don't know why they had to have that scene where he goes to the bank.
Yeah.
But anyways, he goes to the bank to get a roll of quarters.
I guess to explain,
Yeah.
to make it, but it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, we would have gotten it if he'd have just whipped out a roll of quarters from
Yeah.
his dresser drawer or
Something
whatever.
like that, yeah.
But he fills a sock with a roll of quarters and he starts walking around with it. And then he's out and about somewhere and some guy gives him trouble. He just turns around and whacks him with it.
A bunch of times. And then, is that the time when he goes home?
Yes.
And he's just whacking everything?
Well,
like,
he goes... Yeah, he's very nervous. I think he had to have a drink.
Yeah.
Super nervous, which is the most acting that he's ever done.
Yes.
And then, yeah, he starts just swinging it like, wow, I have this power.
Yeah. Now, this is the part where he goes to Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
And then this is where the heavy-handedness just continues hardcore, because he goes there and they're talking about the project and everything, and I think he was staying late, and the guy comes up to him. He's like, yeah, man, you want to come to us to a club? He's like, nah, I wouldn't be into that. And he's like, no, but it's different from you. So he says something about them being in New York. It's like, we're going to a gun club.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, here we go. Then they go to a gun club, and then he has a dialogue. What does he say? He has a line where he says, yeah, you liberals think our guns are an extension of our penises.
Yeah. And then he was just kind of like, nah, I never thought that.
Yeah, he's like, no, I never thought that way. Oh, we didn't talk about, like, the play outside and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, when he gets to Arizona, so the guy he meets is kind of like that real cowboy
Yes.
type personality. And he takes him to a cowboy play, like a reenactment.
Yes. Yeah, I think that was, like, setting the thing, because there was, like, this weird, like, underlying theme of, like, back in the old days kind of thing.
Right.
And I think that's where it adds to when they go to the gun club, and then they start shooting a gun. And it's just like, oh, I wonder what they're trying to say to the audience. What are they really trying to say? But then, you know, the project goes well, I guess. He comes back home, but right before he goes home, he's like...
The guy's like, I'm going to pack you just a little present for helping me out.
And it's nicely wrapped and everything, Joe. That's what's crazy.
Yep. So he gets home.
Yeah.
And he's kind of mulling it over. Now he has a gun. And he takes the gun and he just decides to put himself in a position where he's going to get mugged.
Yeah.
Essentially. He didn't go out necessarily looking for any one individual.
Yes.
But he just kind of was like, he'll just put himself in that position.
Yeah, because the first time it happens, and right back to the overacting of the on-street thug, some guy comes up to him and it's like, hey, can you give me some money? He's like, no, man, give me some money.
Yeah,
and then
I'll blast you, man. Give me your money, man.
I don't know. I heard usually you start with the gun. Whatever. And then the guy pulls out the gun, but then, you know, Charles Bronson shoots him.
Yeah. He had the gun in, like, his hands in his pocket, and I guess he already had the gun holding the gun. So he just turns around and blows him away.
Yeah.
And once again, this is kind of important. He does go home, and he is, the best acting he can do. He's super nervous.
Yeah.
And he actually goes and vomits in the toilet and stuff. And
yeah, it did affect him, and it's slowly, like, he's escalating because then the cops come investigate it, and the cops just come off as real pieces of shit in this movie. Like, they'll just come into some, like, with that particular scene when they're investigating everything, they're like, well, you know, the guy, he was already, you know, a mugger and all that kind of stuff. That's like another thing with these films. They always justify the guy getting killed because they always had, you know, priors or whatever.
Right. Except for the one investigator.
Yeah.
There was one old guy, investigator, that actually wanted to find, who they refer to him as the Vigilante.
Yeah.
And that guy they put, like you said, heavy-handedness.
Yeah.
They kind of made him out to be like a super detective. Like, he noticed stuff that nobody else would notice.
Yes.
Little things.
Yes. It was ridiculous.
So he was hot on the trail.
And he was sick. Maybe the system is sick. Maybe that's other symbolism, Joe.
Could be.
Oh, man. I was just like, okay, we get it. So Charles Bronson goes out again, correct?
Yeah. There was an old guy getting mugged by some thugs.
Yes.
And he shoots Denzel.
Now, information is key because I researched that.
Okay.
It wasn't Denzel Washington.
It wasn't?
He even confirmed. He was like, no, I was never in that movie. That guy just looks really like him. It is so much that he's not in that film. He was basically like, yeah, I hadn't even started acting at that moment.
Well, I'm super disappointed now. Podcast over.
Oh, but yeah, I thought it was Denzel Washington too because I actually saw this clip a long time ago. I was like, oh, Denzel Washington was like, no, that wasn't him.
Well, that freaking ruins everything for me.
Well, at least we still have Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So, anyways, he shoots.
He shoots
some more thugs.
He shoots not Denzel Washington.
You're right.
Yeah.
And when the cops came and they interviewed the old guy that was being mugged.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Did you see his face?" And he did.
Oh yeah.
He did see the face, but he was like, "Nah, man, I didn't see it. I don't know what he looked like."
Yeah.
So that was kind of a thing.
Yeah, and they treat him like shit. You saw something. I just got mugged. What the fuck are you? Why are you being mean to me? So.
Yep. So they had this kind of message going on where some people were talking about that they liked the Vigilante.
Yes.
And then others were saying you shouldn't take justice into your own hands. So they had this kind of dichotomy going on.
Yeah, it's the debate of the movie, and so I think there's also like one scene where it's like, you know, the son comes over that was married to his daughter. He comes over and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And Charles Bronson is feeling great.
You know, at first he made him feel bad when he hit someone. He got very nervous when he shot someone.
Yep.
And then towards the middle, he's starting to like really enjoy himself almost.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah. Because like he was talking to the son and he was like, "Yeah, did you see your daughter?" He's like, "I saw her yesterday. I know how she's doing."
Yeah.
And he's like, "What do you want me to do? Jeez, you want me to be sad forever?" And so he's really enjoying being a vigilante. So
yeah, which you know could actually happen in real life. If you get used to the life of crime or something, you can fall into something. You know.
Exactly. Back to the detective, like, because he really wants to find out who this guy is. He just comes to the conclusion, we're looking for a guy that got affected by muggers because he's going out, the vigilante is going out and attacking these people.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, he figures this out.
Well, there was something else that clued him in.
What was it?
He got stabbed in the shoulder. That was part of it.
Yeah.
I forget what else. There was something else that gave him a clue to that it was Kersey.
Yeah.
Which is Charles Bronson. I don't know if I mentioned that his name is Paul Kersey.
Yes.
So yeah, something clued him in. And so now they're kind of on to him.
Yes.
And ultimately what ends up happening is that this inspector gets called in and the police chief or whatever is like, listen, this guy's kind of cleaning up the streets. We don't want to bring him in. We don't want to make him a martyr or whatever.
Yeah.
Just find him and tell him to go away.
Yeah, because that's how the law works.
Yeah, just get rid of him.
Yeah, because then at the end he gets into an altercation with these three guys. One of them has a gun. He kills two of them, but then the one guy with the gun shoots him. Doesn't kill Charles Bronson.
Right.
But Charles Bronson is able to chase after this other guy. And then, like, kind of like the Old West thing, he kind of comes up on him. He's like, draw your weapon. The other guy's like, what? Draw your weapon. And the guy's like, man, you crazy, and just left. And then Charles Bronson faints. And then I think when he faints, he drops the gun, right?
Yeah.
Because Charles Bronson then goes to the hospital, and then they pretty much link the gun to Charles Bronson.
Yeah, another policeman finds it.
That's
like
what
a
it
young
is.
rookie.
Oh, yeah.
And then the inspector finds him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Do you tell anybody about this gun?" And he's like, "No, sir." And he's like, "All right, I'll remember you. Don't worry." And then he takes the gun, wipes it clean. Then he goes to visit Kersey in the hospital, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he basically tells him, "Listen, I know you're the vigilante." He says, "Everything's fine. Just get out of here. Stop what you're doing. Just go somewhere else." And that was pretty much the end.
He goes to Chicago,
Yep.
Which is interesting.
Yep.
In the grand scope of, Death Wish, I guess, universe.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does like that classic, pointing the gun thing. That thing, because some guys are just acting an ass in the airport.
Yeah, they were stealing someone's purse or something.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey!" And then they turn around and he just goes,
Yeah.
"We're gonna make a sequel."
Yeah.
And that's how that one ends.
Yes.
Okay.